Parents who have disowned their children. Why? Not a parent, but we had to disown my little sister because she kept trying to kill my dad. Please don't downvote any jokes puns unless they're absolutely disgusting. If we don't laugh, we'll cry. My sister loves them. I feel like this needs further explanation. Like why your sister felt the need to try killing your father, and why disowning was the solution chosen. This guy that works for our family business was disowned for being gay. He is one of the nicest people I have ever met. Shame on his family. My cousins were kicked out of their house and disowned because they did not believe in their parents' cultist beliefs. The cult is called the Remnants. Read up on it. It's messed up. Give us the highlights. I was disowned by my emotionally and physically abusive father for basically not apologizing to him for not wanting to be around or talk to him. No loss. He never liked me emo, and I never liked him. I disowned my maternal grandmother. I was a recently divorced mom and trying to get back on my feet. She was verbally abusive to me and sexually abusive to my son, and I was not going to put up with it. In 1997 I caught her doing horrible things to my son. I stopped talking to her and moved out. Unfortunately, she told my entire extended family that I was all kinds of stuff. Who knows? And everyone stopped talking to me. She even told them she disowned me. LOL. Sue. I heard all kinds of nonsense from them cousins and aunts, uncles, etc. Like, you really are a disappointment to your grandmother. She might forgive you one day. You need to straighten up. I couldn't understand what they were talking about. Turns out, she was going around telling everyone I am a rage addict and crack addict and I was selling my body to pay for my drugs. In their eyes, she's this sweet, innocent old lady who can do no wrong. Funny thing is, I've never done a drug in my life. I barely ever drink. Luckily, there are a few family members who don't believe her, but they're afraid to talk to me, for fear of being disowned. Even my mother says she's proud of me for getting away from that woman and wishes she has the guts to do it. These kids weren't quite disowned, but they were given up. My ex's daughter's mother told him one day that she didn't want the girls anymore and that they were his to deal with. They're great kids. I miss them. He's a bag of crap, and I think I only stayed with him for the kids. But I just don't understand how a mother could do that to her little girls. Oh, and she's done it with 4 of the 5 other children she's had. The other one, her father is in prison, so the mother has to keep her. My sister got disowned for beating me, both of my brothers, my mother, crashing my car, getting arrested for prostitution, possession of C, marijuana, and M. She has been fired from every job she has ever had and has made my mother, my brothers and my life living hecks. My father has sent her to rehab multiple times and has offered to help her turn her life around and she has spat in his face and relapsed every time. That's only in the past 3 years. I could go on but Reddit doesn't like reading that much. Nobody likes my sister. I can't even call that sorry waste of human flesh my sibling. I want to disown my biological mother. She had me, adopted me out to my father's parents. She turned around and had 3 more, and kept all of them, while telling me that they hated my brothers and sister. She told me they were evil and stole me from her but never fought to get me back. When I asked my grandparents what happened, why she gave me up, their answer, she needed $5,000. I still think I got the better life. Frick her. I was disowned by my entire family, and the best part about that is I did nothing but exist. It's such a long story that I don't feel like telling right now. Wish I saw this thread sooner. If anyone really cares I can try and post it when I wake up. I definitely care. When I was only 3 years old I was sent away to live with my father in Utah. He was a drug-addicted veteran of Vietnam who treated me and my brother as if we were in boot camp, forcing us to stand at attention for no reason, or making us eat disgusting things to help toughen us up. He would get jobs in construction doing horribly dangerous crap, get paid a ton of money, and then blow it on drugs and alcohol, and then get fired. He was too proud to ask for help from anyone, so my brother and I suffered in silence. We lived in homeless shelters, back alleys, roach motels, and even in a tool shed of some old lady at one point. Eventually, someone got murdered at one of the hotels we were living in, so my brother and I sneaked out while my dad was at work. We went to a gas station and a customer there helped us get in touch with my grandparents who came and rescued us. At that point I disowned my father for being such a poor example of humanity, for treating my brother and I as if we were such a burden on him, for failing to take care of us, or himself, at all. I was 8 years old. I haven't spoken to him since. I am now 34 years old. 3 weeks before my birthday this year I learned of my father's death. He died of massive organ failure brought on by cancer. His smoking, drinking, and drugging finally caught up. I learned a few things about my father that day. I learned that his last words were of me and my brother. I learned of his years in the Army Special Forces, and some real hero crap he had done in arm. I learned of how the government turned its back on him. I learned how hard he really tried to raise my brother and I to be the good men we are today. I learned how much I loved my father, and how much of a fool I had been. I've disowned my brother. I put it in quotes because I've only done it mentally. I can't really avoid him since I still live with my parents. After years of him being mentally abusive, the second he hit me I decided that I was done with him. My parents disowned me when I came out and they met my first boyfriend. After a few months though, we came around. Now we have a closer and stronger relationship than I ever thought possible. I have not disowned my children but I seriously contemplate it at times. My sons are grown men aged 25 and 19. Their father, my husband, had to have an organ transplant when the eldest son was 7 and the youngest was an infant. Therefore, he was now a stay-at-home, disabled father. We explained numerous times to our sons that we were a non-traditional family in the sense that the traditional gender roles were now reversed. I worked and my husband stayed home. I feel that it is worth mentioning that my husband tried very hard to be a normal father and do things with our sons as normal fathers do. It is important for me to mention the fact that both myself and my husband were abused children. Both my husband and myself have PTSD from childhood trauma. We never wanted our sons to feel that horrific pain. We raised them to be respectful of others and other beliefs. The problem is that our sons refuse to work and contribute to the household. My husband is a disabled veteran who is still fighting for his disability. I lost a well-paying position 2 years ago and am presently very underemployed. Needless to say, financially we are in bad shape. Not only does these two sons not work, nor contribute to the household, they also refuse to do simple tasks such as wash dishes, etc. When they do such tasks, the tasks are completed sporadically. This is all causing problems between my husband and I. I do not even have the money to go to the doctor and properly take care of myself, but am supporting grown sons. My husband insists that he could not throw them out. After all, his abusive stepfather threw him out when he was 15. I say our sons have far surpassed the age of 15 and we are no longer obligated to them for anything except emotional support. I feel incredibly taken advantage of. I feel as if my husband is choosing our sons over me. Please understand that if our sons were doing something such as attending college, I most likely would not be feeling so bad about the situation. But they are not. I love my husband and do not want to leave him. These sons do not seem to have a sense of family or responsibility. It's almost as if everyone is out for themselves. It really disturbs me that at 5:30 in the morning, I am getting up for work. Meanwhile, my grown sons can sleep peacefully all day. Am I wrong here? This is tearing us apart. Unfortunately, I seem to be the one feeling the pain the most in this whole mess. After all, we have been through so much in our lives. I just want some cooperation and my joy back. Life is too short to be going through this situation. Your thoughts, advice, or ideas are much appreciated. I had a neighbor who disowned their kid when he was 18ish for being gay. Almost directly afterward there was a brand new car sitting in their driveway. I feel especially terrible because all the neighbor kids would call him Trey the Gay and me, I was probably only 8 or 9, joined in. I don't think we ever called him that to his face, but still it was awful. We didn't know that he was actually gay. Not a parent, but have all but disowned my father. He's a paranoid schizophrenic and was diagnosed about 12 years ago, and he routinely decides to stop taking his medications. On top of that, he's an incredibly lazy and selfish person with little self-control and a willingness to blame his problems on anything but himself and his own actions. During one of his frequent bouts of the disorder with no medication, about 5 years ago, He created a plan to save his loved ones, as Satan was coming to corrupt the world. He was going to mass murder essentially every family member he had in a 40-mile radius. About 30 people all counted. My cousin and his fiancée would be first by virtue of proximity, renting a room from him, and my girlfriend and I were going to be second, thanks to my being his firstborn son, and it would have proceeded from there. Luckily, my cousin is a stone cold badass, and sidestepped his shotgun as he fired, and proceeded to beat the crap out of him. Naturally, this created a bit of a rift, but I tried to keep things together with him, even through to couple of times he stopped taking his meds again. That was until I was living with him over this past summer after a particularly bad breakup. He lied about being taken off his meds to all of the family, so he could go without them. After hearing that, I spent 3 months busting bust to get myself extracted from that situation as fast as possible, sleeping with a knife under a pillow and a machete against my dresser in arm's reach. I went 5 days without sleep out of complete fear for my life. Finally I got my crap sorted and was out of there by the end of August. 2 weeks later he disappeared. 2 weeks after that, they found his truck, abandoned. A week after that, he was found in a field next to some old lady's yard, screaming at the sky about finding the devil and killing him. TLDR. My dad's a selfish prick who stops his meds because he doesn't like taking them and putting lives in danger by doing so, including his immediate family. He can get fricked. I haven't really said anything about this, but what the heck? My family doesn't know that I know why they disowned me. Well, not entirely disown, but pretty close. When I was born, I was supposed to be adopted. I get told different stories. On the abortion side, I had been told I was actually an attempted medically induced abortion gone wrong. Anyway, fast forward a few years. I was a quiet girl, never cried or really even laughed. However, I'd scream in my sleep, blood-curdling, heart-wrenching screams. Because of my family's religious background, I was labeled a witch or a demon, depending on which side of the family you talk to. I had to undergo an exorcism. I had overheard my aunt referring to me as the witch and got the story from my mom and grandmother. My family, all my dad's side, refused to really speak to me except for my siblings. The irony is I would grow up to practice nature spiritualism and witchcraft. My father disowned me when I was 11 because I took my mom's side in their divorce, like I had any idea what was going on. I have 2 younger brothers by him and he would take them on family vacations and leave me behind and such. I estranged myself from my mom as soon as I could move out for college because she has several screws loose and had effectively disowned me while living in the same home. One time when I was about 16 I got really sick and could barely breathe in the middle of the night, so I drove myself to the ER. I was in excruciating pain, but because I wasn't 18 the ER couldn't treat me without parental consent. No dad, so had to be mom. Instead of rushing to the hospital, she went back to sleep. When she did get up she went to the gym for lap swimming, and eventually got to the ER maybe 8 hours later. After the divorce my mom had custody of me and my 2 younger brothers, and we were really impoverished. Half the time our water was shut off. We lived in squalor, and she declared bankruptcy twice. In the midst of our dire situation she decided to spend several $1,000s, I don't know from where, to have herself artificially inseminated to have another kid. My theory is that she was basically giving up on me and wanted to start over with a new kid that also wasn't anyone but hers, not from my father. How bad of a kid was I? I was depressed. I wonder why. From the time of their divorce until I moved out of my mom's house, I've never done drugs, never smoked, never committed a crime. I started college at 16. Helped me get away, always on the dean's list, volunteered every week at a local church. One of my punishments in high school was not being allowed to go to church, volunteered in the Middle East for 2 years, earned a master's degree from Harvard, and I'm currently an adjunct professor, so I'm an all-around degenerate and underachiever. I'm back in contact with both of my parents now, but I recognize I will never have a parent-son relationship with either of them. I'm primarily in contact with my mom so I can help protect my littlest brother from her since he still lives with her, the one that came from her self-artificial insemination. He actually just broke his tailbone the other day and she doesn't have health insurance for him, and she said he doesn't need an x-ray even though he can barely walk. I don't know what I can do really. So, yeah, I'll cry at their funerals, but only because it will remind me that I never had real parents. Actual parent here. I once threw my then 13-year-old stepson out of the house, minus his brand new trainers, for calling his mum a C. I ran off after him, but he had disappeared. 10 hours later, his dad phoned to say he had arrived safely at his apartment in Edinburgh, Scotland. The kid had hitchhiked 300 miles, barefoot. He returned home after spending 6 months with his dad, during which he shoplifted and truanted from school. Years later, I disowned him after a string of robberies and assaults were linked to him. He got his girl pregnant, so he joined the army, but they split up when he went to prison for going AWOL too many times. His mother died 2 years later and our relationship went into a steep decline, ending in his permanent banishment from our home. He burgled the house repeatedly, threatened his brothers and assaulted his father until he finally ended up in prison for beating up his ex's new boyfriend. No matter what he did, his brothers stood by him, which made it almost impossible for me to maintain any control over the situation. In desperation, I started to spend more and more time away, assuming that the less I was around, the sooner the situation would return to normal. It didn't. We hadn't spoken in years when I spotted him walking past a cafe I was in with his brothers. I'd just been paid and had given each of them a wad of cash, and I wanted to give him his share, no matter what our differences. Before I had a chance to give him his envelope, he turned and stalked away. That was the last I saw of him until recently, when we became friends on Facebook. He's in his late 20s now, and while he'll always have a bit of a Viking temperament, he seems to have calmed down enough to invite to my wedding. TLDR. Temper tantrum teen banished and imprisoned after terrorizing family, home and community. I disowned my son and kicked him out of the house. He was 8 or 9 at the time and was mad all day and being a jerk to everyone. Finally he yelled at my wife and said he wished he wasn't part of our family. So I said fine and kicked him out. I gave him time to pack one suitcase. He went and lived in a tent in the corner of the garden. He got a bit cold because he didn't pack a sweater. Later he got hungry, so I followed him to the store where he bought some food with his own money. He was thirsty and I let him fill up his water bottle he got out of the recycling, but I charged him 10 cents. About bedtime he was sad and lonely and cold, so he came in and apologized and said he wanted to be in our family again. Not a parent, but was disowned myself when I was 15. I was caught with a knife that my girlfriend had taken and given back to me at school. I ended up getting caught because some other students saw me receive it and alerted a teacher. I ended up spending 3 months in juvenile hall, and when I got out my parents had all of my things packed up in a storage locker. I ended up living with a couple 22-year-olds I knew. Nice thing was the students petitioned to let me back in, so I came back the next year and actually graduated on time. Haven't seen my folks since then and I'm 24 now. My son, if he is still alive out there in the cold, told me he liked Phantom Menace better than Empire Strikes Back. Disowned male here. My father disowned me after deciding he loved H more than me. I wish he would have figured this out before he held a sickle to my throat, planning on killing me. 3 times. I was 4.5. My mother is currently disowning me. My brother and I were apparently her world. Now that she found my new stepdad, a guy who came to stay with us for 2 weeks, she has decided to not only marry him, but force my brother and I to move halfway across the US to live with him. She also now wishes I was never born, and hates me. I hope my father enjoys his 60-year sentence, and my mom enjoys me never speaking to her again once she kicks me out. Not like she hasn't kicked me out many times before. To those of you who have been disowned by or who have disowned your parents, many of you have said I wish I still had a mom dad. If you haven't, take a good look around at your friends. One of them has a mom or dad who knows about you, is hurting for you, and wants to be that parent you miss. I know this because I am Mom 2.0, the improved version, as one of them calls me, to 3 of my son's friends. It's not a big deal, it just means that I'll listen to them, scold them at times, give hugs, invite them to dinner, and give them a place to spend the holidays. I get as much happiness from them as they get from me. I know there's someone in your world who can fill a little piece of what you're missing. I know it's not the same, but we are here. Just look for us. My dad didn't live with my mom. and I yelled at him once for never being there for me and he disowned me. I'm pretty sure I swore at him a lot. I don't remember. I was 14 and was pissed off because he wouldn't send money so we wouldn't be homeless. Again, it was child support. I shouldn't have had to beg for child support. Ugh. Haven't seen him since. And I looked up my family tree online once and it said he died 3 years ago. I don't know if this is the wrong guy or no one told me my dad died. Either way it's screwed up. I got disowned, and I'm better for it. I was 14 when my mom handed me my birth certificate and social security card and told me to get the frick out, and she hasn't talked to me since. I'm 33 now. For many years I yearned to have my mother back, but just recently, in the last couple of years I finally realized I'm better without her, and probably wouldn't be where I am in life with her. Why did I get the boot? I was a problem child, likely lack of parenting. They said they didn't want me to be a bad influence on my half-siblings. I think they just didn't want to deal with me. Frick 'em. I am the most successful of all of my siblings, by a country mile. I still can't fathom how a parent disowns a child, but at least I stopped trying. I don't need to understand her fricked up head. That's her problem. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.